Hello, YouTube divers. This is WaterDive 122, and I want to welcome you all to a brand new YouTube series of mine. We are going to be going through bands of the alphabet, my favorite bands and or artists that start with each letter of the alphabet. I got this idea from a big YouTuber named Sea of Tranquility. He is currently working on one of these things, and it kind of got me thinking maybe I should do something like that on my own channel. And so here we are. So we're going to be going through each letter of the alphabet for the next 26 days, starting right now. So with the letter A. So if y'all have been following my channel for until at least this point, then you know who my favorite band is that starts with the letter A. And that is the band Anthrax. Now, Anthrax makes the cut for me because they are one of my top 10 favorite bands of all time. And if you don't believe me, go watch episode 7 of Magic Metal Mondays, and I talk about it there. So, basically, what I'm going to be doing here is that I am going to be talking about my favorite album from the band, my favorite song from the band, and the lineup in which my favorite album from the band came out. And I will also give a rating and list 3 honorable mentions. So, with that said, let's freaking talk about Anthrax. Anthrax has been a very important band to me over the past couple months, especially here in the summer when I've been listening to a lot of Anthrax, and I mean a lot of Anthrax. Mainly my 5 favorite songs from them, all of them from which were in the Joey Belladonna 80s era, which in my opinion was Anthrax's strongest point, and I'm sure a lot of Anthrax fans would agree with me on that. So, with Anthrax, it's a little bit complicated. A lot of people like to hold them down on the Big Four totem pole, and I'm kind of guilty of this myself. But still, and as I've said numerous times throughout this channel, I absolutely love Anthrax. They're a top 10 band for me, so that's for sure. So, with that said, let's get freaking started. Now, if you've been following me on my channel up to this point, you know what my favorite Anthrax album is, and that is the 1985 album Spreading the Disease. It is one of my top 10 favorite albums of all time, and honestly, it has lived up to this day. I keep playing this album day after day, well, any chance I get. And yet, I'm still blown away of how Joey Belladonna sounds on this record. In my opinion, Spreading the Disease has my favorite vocal performances from him. And really, the entire band sounds absolutely amazing. Now, this album did precede Among the Living, which everybody knows is a freaking metal classic. But it didn't quite make the cut for me, mainly because Spreading the Disease was really the album that really got me into Anthrax with the song Medusa. But surprisingly, for a while, Medusa was actually my favorite song from Anthrax. But as time went on, I have grown to love another song on this amazing album, and that is the song AIR, which opens up this record. And it's currently my favorite Anthrax song. And I know my favorite songs from Anthrax have kind of been interchangeable. That is mainly because of, what is my mood when I come in to listen to Anthrax. And whenever I hear AIR, I'm like, okay, this is the real deal here. And so yeah, AIR has been my favorite Anthrax song, especially now that I've gotten to know this band a little bit more. I've heard AIR so many times. I've absolutely loved it. Now, the lineup on this album, Joey Belladonna on vocals, of course, Frank Bello on bass, the first album that featured those two, Scott Ian and Dan Spitz on the guitars, respectively, and then Charlie Benante on drums. In my opinion, that's probably my favorite lineup from Anthrax. Love this lineup. Freaking solid from start to finish. And with that, Anthrax gets a solid 10 out of freaking 10. Absolutely love this band. And now we are going to be talking about my 3 honorable mentions. This was really tough because I left out so many great bands. Um, but I only had to choose 3 at this point. Although I will mention 2 other bands that I left off were Audioslave and Avenged Sevenfold. Just wanted to mention those 2, but they're not quite honorable mentions since I haven't really known about them that much. But I do know a little bit about Audioslave. I know Chris Cornell was in that band, and we all know that. Yeah, now getting to the real honorable mentions. In my opinion, Anthrax beats out Alice in Chains, Annihilator, and Asia. 3 other bands that I really love, especially Alice in Chains. Favorite Alice in Chains album, Dirt. Favorite Annihilator album, Alice in Hell. And my favorite Asia album, the self-titled debut. Just thought I'd get that out of the way. But honestly, Anthrax will always be my favorite band that starts with the letter A. They will always be a top 10 band for me, and what more can I say? It's freaking Anthrax we're talking about. And if people say that Anthrax is and if people exclude Anthrax from metal lists that include the 3 other bands from the Big Four, Metallica, Megadeth, and Slayer, then I personally would not have considered that to be a metal list, because you can't have, if you're going to include bands from the Big Four, in my opinion, you have to include every single band from the Big Four, because all these bands were pioneers of their respective genre, which in this case is thrash metal. Anthrax is a very overlooked band. I probably would not be saying that if I was recording this in the 80s, but I guarantee you, Anthrax these days is a very overlooked band, and I really think people should start paying more attention to them, because they are just so freaking amazing, and Joey Belladonna's voice will blow you away every single freaking time. Just know that. So with that said, that concludes today's episode of Bands of the Alphabet. I'll be back tomorrow to reveal my favorite B band, if that even makes sense. So, with that said, thank you so much for watching, my fellow YouTube divers. This is WaterDive 122 signing out, ready to dive into more fun on YouTube. Thanks for watching.